Okay, so today we're gonna get a little wild and out there. We're talking about Sylvanas, and we're talking about who she is, what she is, why she is, all of it. So bear with me. This may get a little much for some people. This may seem way out in left field, but I have been picking up on a theory for a while. I've been just catching some things that make me stop and say, I wonder if. And I never quite finished the thought because I too have just cut myself off right there saying, no, can't be. But the more I think about it, and the more video, cinematics and stuff that we get from Blizzard, the more hints they drop, if you will. Yeah, I'm I'm a full believer at this point. I no longer just consider this an out there but possible theory. I am now fully subscribed to this. So just bear with me. It's going to be a doozy. So, in considering Sylvanas as a person, as who she was in life, as a woman, and all of the things that she's done, all of it, from before she became the Forsaken leader, from before she was the Ranger General of Silvermoon, just Sylvanas, a vain, beautiful woman, a blood elf. She became the Ranger General of Silvermoon. She advocated for Nathanos as a human to train with the Blood Elf Rangers. Just want to put that in there somewhere. She advocated for this. This is not a normal thing. Humans don't do this. But something about Nathanos, maybe she saw skill in him. Maybe it was something else. Which, yeah, most of us picked up on that, I think. Some of you are out there right now going, oh, if that's your theory, no. That's, I won't say it's been confirmed, but, I mean, clearly Nathanos feels that way about her. But it's going to be important. It's going to be important to the overall theory. Along with the fact that Sylvanas is first and foremost a woman. Prior to her main story, if you will, all the things that we put into context and that we think about when we think of her, all of the important, this is part of her story. She had a brother. Something I don't know how many people really think about that, how many people realize that most people, if they know about it, they probably think it's irrelevant. But she had a brother who she lost. As someone who has lost siblings in childhood, I can tell you, especially when you're close to those siblings, it leaves a profound mark, which can take many forms and have many adverse effects. It can create a sense of loneliness. It can create a sense of wanting to protect, feeling the need to be overprotective of your other siblings. It can feel heartbreaking. And it can make you question life, the universe, all things on a deeper scale. Sylvanas probably already felt a deep loss and was likely concerning herself with the what ifs, thinking about life, thinking about death, prior to ever even becoming the Ranger General of Silvermoon. I mean, this is not someone who just happy-go-lucky shrugs it off and gets over something. Obviously, Sylvanas holds grudges. Sylvanas holds on to pain. Sylvanas is an intelligent woman. Intelligence can be a burden because your mind starts exploring avenues that don't offer comfort and absolution. Really, they just offer more questions. So, taking that into account, and then looking at her as a woman potentially in love, advocating for her love interest to join the Rangers, wanting to be close to him, and then finding herself in the leadership position. She's already vain. She already expects way too much of herself. She's skilled. She's beautiful. She's in the leadership position. On top of having that desire to protect, to hold on to what's precious to her from having experienced loss before. So, obviously, someone like that becoming an instrument of death, trying to protect your people, but becoming the very thing used to harm your people against your will. Well, that's certainly going to require more than just therapy to overcome that. But Sylvanas is strong. She's a fighter. She doesn't just give up. I know later on there are some moments of weakness in which she more or less throws in the towel. She's done. But not yet. Something is making her hold on. Something that gives her enough strength, even after what Arthas did to her, to break his hold on her. She fought back. It was her willpower that broke his hold on her. The other Forsaken, she was able to help break free once his will had weakened and he was out of the picture. But she broke her will first. So that tells me she still had an incredible fighting spirit within her and something driving her. To have that kind of spirit, something must have been motivating her. And I don't think at that time it was Nathanos or her people. She would have known the outcome. She would have known what became of them, and that there was nothing really she could do for them. Now, you could argue that her vanity, her pride, was strong enough to just go against everything, all of that control Arthas had over her, just every fiber of her being fought against being controlled and being submissive. I don't think so. I don't think her vanity is what freed her from that kind of control. And I also don't think that it had anything to do with Arthas's will at the time. Not at the time she freed herself. So, why? Why keep fighting? And not only that, why go back? Why go to the Plaguelands? Why go to the home of Nathanos Brightcaller? Why seek him out and free him? She freed her rangers, she freed him. But again, at that point, she would have known they'd been killed. This wasn't necessarily about her people and about her love interest. What was it? What was she looking for? That she went back and found Nathanos, specifically sought him out. Just keep that one in the back of your mind as well. A woman, a lover. She went back as though she were looking for something. Then she took on the role of the leader of the Forsaken, because they needed someone. Here they were, forsaken by their own people, and these weren't originally her people. Not all of them. The humans of Lordaeron, they were the humans of Lordaeron. I mean, it's not like they were at war with the elves or anything, but they weren't her people. But something within her, she's vain enough to appreciate a title, to be in a leadership position, to think highly of herself. But that's not what she wants. She's more comfortable operating from behind the scenes. She's more comfortable putting herself on the front lines in defense of her people. She's more of a doer, not a dictator. So, why accept this position? Why take on more responsibility? I could understand, having her rangers with her. I could understand seeking out Nathanos. And we can all understand that wanting free will and giving people the freedom of choice, and that being so important and significant to her, especially after what Arthas did. But why was she so caring and protective and nurturing of the Forsaken? And why? If Nathanos was so important to her, why did he sort of just serve her in the shadows? He really didn't have much screen time until later expansions. He was just there. And why does she treat him basically just like any other henchman? Why does she treat him with an almost... She certainly has a disregard for him. But I would say that sometimes that disregard goes almost as far as a disgust. Now, some might say, well, perhaps she was disgusted with the state in which she found him. After all, when he came to, regained his will, regained his mind, he was disgusted with himself. He was ashamed for his Dark Lady to see him like that. Sylvanas would not have judged someone simply for being forsaken, undead, scourge. They were her people. She was accepting them. She was releasing them from Arthas' will. She was adopting them. So why treat Nathanos different? She did secure him a body like hers, which wouldn't decay like normal Forsaken. She has kept him close. But close only as in proximity. Not in the way that we think. Not in an intimate sort of way anymore. Obviously, because, the Forsaken can't really be intimate, can they? But I'm talking emotional intimacy. There's obviously a great deal that she kept from Nathanos all through the last several expansions. He didn't know what she was up to in Legion. He doesn't seem to know what's going on in BFA. He's not privy to her plans. He questions her decisions. She's not treating him like a lover. She manipulates him. She knows his feelings for her. That's how she maintains his control. Another cinematic that drops a bit of a hint for me. I don't know if anyone else picked up on this, but the cinematic of her in the throne room. When she gets up and walks over to Anduin. I at first thought the reason she sort of sensually saunters over to him, very, very feminine, very womanly, was because the cinematics team wanted us to see her as a woman, as a mature woman, even as someone who could manipulate men, specifically out-manipulate Anduin because he's young, he's boyish, he's adolescent, here's this sexy woman. He is suddenly no longer thinking up here. That was my initial thought. But maybe they're showing us that she's a woman for another reason. Also, in that same cinematic, she gives Nathanos an order. He seems hesitant. And this is again where she uses her femininity and his feelings to manipulate him. She approaches him, does that finger in the chin thing, and refers to him as my champion. So I feel like those are a couple of hints there that she is still very much a woman, still very much aware that she's a woman, and can still use that against Nathanos, against Anduin. She hasn't lost her touch. But I think she's using it differently. On Anduin, it's more like she's playing to his adolescence. He's a young adolescent male. So she's distracting him with her body. So he's not paying attention to what's going on as they're setting up her attack. He's just distracted. But on Nathanos, she's using the feelings that she knows he has for her to get him to do what she wants and to follow orders. Also, Nathanos seems not only ashamed, but like he's carrying a burden of guilt. And she's using his feelings of guilt. And I think she knows what he's feeling guilty about. I think it's the same thing that she's basically angry with him for. She can't forgive him for something. What if, and I'm just throwing this out there, what if before she was killed by Arthas, Sylvanas Windrunner felt so strongly about defending her people and giving them enough time to escape, buying time, even if it was a moot point, even if she knew they would lose the battle. What if it wasn't just to buy her people time, but to buy Nathanos time? To do something very specific. What if it was something worth dying for? Not her people, not her sisters, even after already losing one sibling. What if Sylvanas Windrunner was a mother? And Nathanos had one job. One job. Take their child and get away. As far away as you can. Not back to your house in the Western Plaguelands. That's not far enough. Clearly. You had one job. When Blizz showed us her death in the Warbringers cinematics, I finally felt like, yeah, this isn't just me thinking, oh, what if? I had been thinking what if for a while, mostly just, yeah, that'd be interesting, that'd be a thing, that could be a thing, what if? But when I saw her relive her death, and you know in those cinematics nothing is by mistake, and I saw every emotion in her from the moment she tried to help that mother escape with her child to the moment she was resurrected, only for that to be the last image she saw, was that mother she tried to save, dead, clutching her dead child. For a mother, if Sylvanas was herself a mother, for that to be the last thing you see as you yourself are dying and being pulled back into the world to attack your own people, what might have been going through her head? Of course she was determined to break free of his control. Of course she went looking for Nathanos afterward. She was probably trying to find her child. What happened? Where is that child? And for Sylvanas, I think she's got a good bit of guilt herself. Not only for not being able to stop Arthas and to buy her people enough time, but I imagine it's not just Nathanos she blames for losing her child. I imagine she's blaming herself all through this. And hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and I don't know any woman scorned more than a woman whose child has been killed. I do believe any woman, I don't care what their moral compass is, any woman who lost a child to murder would go after that child's killer, would have more than just a vendetta. Sylvanas lived solely to go back after Arthas. And that's why when he was killed, she had nothing left. She wasn't living to be the leader of the Forsaken. It wasn't pride. It wasn't vanity. She wasn't sticking around for Nathanos, for her sisters, for anything. She searched for her child, didn't find her child, found Nathanos had been turned into Scourge, so the logical assumption is her child had been lost. Once Arthas was dead, she had no other reason. Why should she hang around? So, throwing herself off the top of Ice Crown. Yeah, maybe she was scared back into living from what she experienced and what she saw. Or maybe the Valkyr played on her being a woman, being a mother. They played on her natural nurturing instincts. They showed her Garrosh Helmscream throwing her Forsaken, her people, away, ordering them to take Gilneas at all costs, using them as fodder. I mean, Hellscream's not exactly... He's not a bad guy, he's not a good guy, he didn't give a crap about the Forsaken, okay? They were already dead, they were monsters, they were, as far as he was concerned, just tools. Which even Sylvanas herself has referred to them as arrows in her quiver. And in her mind, I'm sure that's true. In your mind, you can distance yourself. You can say, they have no meaning. They certainly don't mean as much to me as my own family. They are just there. They're there to serve me. They don't mean anything. But the mind and the heart are two very different things. And anyone who is struggling with those complex emotions, those feelings, those nurturing feelings, the feelings of loneliness, the feelings of a need to protect, that maternal instinct. There's a lot going on in Sylvanas. And I know there's some of you coming at me right now saying, no way, because Forsaken only maintain one emotion. That's it. They can remember the others, but they don't feel them. Well, I've got another argument. How would you classify the emotion love? How would you classify that? Passion? Nurturing? Fear? Anger? Rage even? There are a lot of emotions that make up love. If love was what she was feeling when she was killed, and love is what she was left with, Sylvanas is more than capable of feeling everything that goes with it. I think that's what we're seeing in the cinematics. I think we're seeing a complex pain, regret, guilt, desire to protect. We're seeing this array of sub-emotions attached to love. And I also think that's why Sylvanas is so determined to kill Hope. If she never found that child, not in scourge form, not as a dead body, not alive, she doesn't have closure. She doesn't know what happened. Any parent would still, somewhere within them, be holding on to hope that that child made it, is alive in the world somewhere. And it's probably causing her more pain. And all she can do is be the monster that she is. Even if she were to find her child, she knows all too well. She has said it herself. The Forsaken don't yet understand that she's trying to protect them from the living, from the pain of being reunited with your family, only to have them forsake you. So even if she found her child alive and well, that might relieve some of her pain. Might be enough for her to say, okay, my job's done. I can forgive. I can let go. But she knows she could never have anything to do with her child. Her child wouldn't want anything to do with the monster that she is, the Banshee Queen. Her sisters want nothing to do with her. And in her mind, she's got to be thinking, after already experiencing the pain of losing a brother, you would think her sisters would have welcomed her back with open arms, regardless of what she is. She's still Sylvanas. But they judge her. They fear her. She's a monster. Even if they can claim to understand, even if, I think it's Varisa that still loves her sister, if you can't trust And you can't have that same attachment that was there if you're afraid of that person. Sylvanas isn't stupid. She knows how they feel. She's not feeling received. She's not feeling accepted or loved. So, what's a Banshee Queen to do? You've lost your family. You've become a monster. Couldn't protect your people. You can't look at the person you once loved anymore. The love of your life. The man you advocated for, even against your own people and what they thought, their laws, their rules. You can't bear to look at him without feeling disgusted, angered, sick, sad. So, you rage war. You rage war on those responsible. Especially once you find out that there's more to it. There's more to it than just Arthas. So what do? Take them all out. Take the world out. Go venturing into all these deep, dark places of wherever we are in Legion. I don't know. Wherever hell is. Helheim or something. Go take it up with them. I mean, I'm sure it's hard enough trying to let go of that past. Knowing that even if you found your child, you couldn't have anything to do with that child. That child wouldn't accept you. And it's hard enough trying not to hope that that child's still alive somewhere. But then to not be able to protect your people, twice at least, Silver Moon, the Forsaken, and then they're on the broken shore. You can't protect anybody. You can't protect the people of the Horde. You lose your war chief. You lose Varian. At this point, Sylvanas is just pissed at the Legion, at the forces of death, at Ayer, at Helia, at everyone. And you can't blame her. I do think she was serious in wanting to avenge Vulcan. But I think he's just one of many who she's lost and who she would like to avenge. And ultimately, I think what drives her is still hope. Why bother saving the world from the Legion and trying to save Azeroth and being part of all this? Why keep going and keep protecting the Forsaken and the Horde? Why do this? If you don't believe that somewhere on Azeroth you might still have a living child to protect, even if that child has no idea who you are or that you exist. I think Sylvanas can't kill the hope within her. And I think it brings back a lot of pain for her. When she has to deal with the idiots of the world who don't understand how fleeting and precious life actually is, but how little it matters in the grand scheme of things. Life is just a small segment, a precursor to death. Death should be a release from pain. So what is undeath? Eternal hell? A fate worse than hell? That, I think, is who Sylvanas is. She's a grieving, scorned, enraged, suffering mother.